this is Patty Sliney, Handy Quilter National Educator here, and I'm doing a second little video that follows behind the first video I just made about how to combine two designs into one. And in this video, I'm going to show you how we can get rid of this jump stitch in Pro Stitcher Designer and actually make this one single design that's going to start here, stitch out the hexagon, then stitch out the inside prism design, and then end back on top of the start point. So it's literally one block. So I have gone ahead, and if you watch the first video, you'll see that we did a temporary grouping, and then I baselined this and saved it as a single design with this jump stitch. So I'm going to take you back one step. I used my undo arrow, so now I just have my temporary group here. It doesn't say merged group, which is what would happen if I baselined. It would merge these two designs into one through the baseline function, and then I proceeded to save that design. So I did my undo arrow because I don't want them to be merged. I want them to be a temporary group that still has two separate designs. So I'm going to take this design and I'm going to go to my Tools tab and I'm going to send it to Pro Stitcher Designer. Okay. So now we have it in Pro Stitcher Designer. And I don't need my area, so I'm going to select it, and then I'm just going to touch the delete key on my keyboard to get rid of it. I just need these two designs. So I have my prism design and my hexagon design, and they happen to be in the correct stitching order because it remembers that from Pro Stitcher. So what I need to do is I need to combine these two designs. I need to connect them, but I need to do a couple of things first to make sure that they will connect down here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my shape tool on, and I have my hexagon design selected, which is where I want to start. Now, if you remember, you can kind of see it here. The start stop point is right here on this design. That's not where I want it. I want it to be here. And so the way to do that is you're going to right click and you're going to split the line on this design. And that, as you can see, that turned it into a start stop here. Because see how this point design node is a square as opposed to a circle. So that's the first thing. I need to do the same thing with this design. However, before I do that, I need to make sure that prism design nodes connect to the hexagon nodes. And if you look here, I'm going to zoom in, you'll see they don't. See how this is slightly away from this? I need this design node or design point to literally be on top of my new start stop of my hexagon design. So I'm going to right click on my toolbar and make sure I have snap to anchor points selected, which I do. That means if let me move that over again. If I select this node and drag it down here, it's going to snap to this point. Boop, just like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Let me zoom in here. We'll select this. Let's zoom in. Do the same thing up here. I want, just for consistency's sake, I want this one to also snap to that one. See it snapped in? Perfect. Okay, so now we're good. I'm going to hit my space bar, zoom back out. Now let's select our prism again. And I'm going to split the line here. So that's going to remove the start stop from the center down to here. So now our start and stops are all on top of each other. So they will connect. And the way to connect them is I'm going to select my hexagon first. I'm holding the control key down on my keyboard and then selecting prisms. So now they're both selected. Now I'm going to right click and I'm going to use the utility connect. I could have done a control T, same thing. That's a keyboard shortcut. So now these two are connected. Hopefully the start and stops are here. And I'm going to, it's in artwork right now, but I'm going to add stitches. Actually, it's not, it's in stitches. Um, there's no artwork. It came through as a stitch file. So I'm going to make this a little smaller just so you can see it. Stitch out. Let me get it centered a little bit. So let's stitch it out. And if this worked correctly, it should start here, stitch out the hexagon, come back, and then stitch out the prism. So let's see if it does. Well, looky there. There you go. So this one was very easy to do in Pro Stitcher Designer. So now I have a design that is actually going to be one single design that starts and stops here. So I'm going to select it. I have my select tool on, select the design, and I'm going to go to File, Save As. And then I have a folder that I created in my documents, Pro Stitcher Designer folder. I created one that says PSD My Designs. That's where I like to save my work. And then I did save this, you can see, because I practiced first. And it's already saved as Prism Hexagon. And I saved it in the native file format for Pro Stitcher Designer. That's my working digitizing file format, the C2S. And then I also saved it as a stitch file, and then you'll see it here. Here it is as a stitch file, and I saved it as Prism Hexagon, so then I have it as an actual stitch file that I can use in Pro Stitcher on my machine and stitch it out. So that's just a simple little lesson on how to combine two designs. The key was they have to touch each other, and the split line, you want the start and stops to be on top of each other so they will connect. And lastly, you want to make sure they're in the order. As you saw, we had the hexagon listed here first and then the prism design. You want to make sure your order is the way you want them to stitch out, and you can move that around. There's ways to move it around by moving it up or down. But they came in the correct order because I had them in the correct order in Pro Stitcher to start with. So that was really helpful. So hope that helps. This is a simple little lesson in Pro Stitcher Designer. This was a simple design. It was really easy to connect it just by splitting the line on both of these designs. So hope you enjoyed that and give it a try. Happy quilting.